403. Can you believe that? Episode 403, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Pancakes and Powerslams show. I am Chris Featherstone. I am really enjoying these video live interviews. I'm like the Chris Jericho of podcasting, always innovating and doing something different. So we are once again here with a live video interview. This person right here has become one of my favorite guests on the Pancakes and Powerslams show. I don't know. This is your third time?
Yes,
third time. So, third time on the show. I really enjoyed the other two. And he and I have talked. There's going to be more times. So he's going to be a frequent with us here on the show. So I'm really excited about it. So without further ado, he is one of the greatest referees in not WWE, not WCW, but pro wrestling history.
Well, thank you very much.
How are you?
That's an awful big buildup. Thank you. I was just laughing a minute ago. I had to put my glasses on. With that kind of a buildup, I am truly now the blind referee.
Elvis calls you the best ref ever. Nick Patrick for WWE Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much, Elvis.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. So, how's it been since the last time we've talked? We've talked on the phone a few times, but how's it been?
Real well, and I'm in. Just been living life. I've been. One of my sons is autistic. I've been training with him. We work out and go to goals all the time, and I'm very blessed to be able to be home now because my parents have got up in age, and I help them so they can stay in their home, and they want to stay in their home, live their lives out there. So it's what I'm going to make sure they're able to do. I'm in a position now where I can help them do that and help keep an eye on my son as well.
Nice, awesome. So last time you were talking about your dad. You're taking care of your dad, right?
Yeah. He's doing pretty good now. He's coming along. He's getting around a lot better now than he was last time.
Nice. That's awesome. That's great to hear. How's the spoiler nowadays?
It's the Assassin.
The Assassin. That's right. The Assassin.
Is 81 now. He's 81 years young.
81 years.
Yeah, there's people that are still scared of him. I'm one of them.
I was so scared that I told him said the wrong name.
That's all right. That's okay. I remember back when I was working with WCW, they had an announcer. He was a big country DJ here in Atlanta, but he came down and he did our ring announcing for WCW. His name was Rhubarb Jones. Mm-hmm. And he came up to my dad and he said, "Dan, when I was a little boy, my mama told me when I acted up that she was going to call the assassin, have you come straighten me out, and it scared me to death." I was like, wow, my dad had an impact on a lot of people like that.
Yes. Jody Hamilton, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
I think someone recently put him over as far as helping train him. I don't know if it was.
I'm not sure. He trained a lot of guys because he was the power plant for WCW. Mm-hmm. He ran Deep South for WWE, and they had Deep South before that. From back in the '80s. But where the big names came was when he was doing the power plant for WWE.
I think it was Goldberg that put him over.
Yeah, it might have been because he gave a lot of advice. Goldberg, when he first started. My dad was the guy that would be at the gorilla position, where you go in, come in and out of the curtain, and he would be in contact. And a lot of people, as soon as they come back to the curtain, my dad was one of the first faces they'd see. They'd ask him, how it went. I'll never forget Goldberg hadn't put together all of his finishing maneuvers yet. Was still just kind of. He was just getting into it. The people were liking him. They were digging him because of his look and because of his intensity, but he hadn't quite put the spear, the jackhammer all together. And I think he was out there with Manny Fernandez, just out of the blue. He speared poor Manny. And so, and we all in the back were like, oh my goodness. It just didn't look like he killed him, And then he did some other things. And then he ended up hitting him with the jackhammer. I'll never forget when he come back through the curtain, my dad grabbed him right away and said, "Come here, kid." He says, "From now on, you hit them with that spear first, use that as a setup move, and then use the jackhammer.
Nice.
First, and then bam, that's what he did from then on.
Wow. So your dad was instrumental in putting the spear and jackhammer sequence together then.
Well, he saw how it went, and he just helped him put the flow together. You know, the guy already had the moves. He just didn't know how, you know that one was to set the other one up. It was more effective doing it that way than just hitting him with a spear and then doing 2 or 3 other things and then doing your deal, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas it was that spear, as soon as you hit that spear, people knew what was coming. It was like Hogan calling for the deal, like, you know.
Right.
In a different way.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting because he was recently on Austin's podcast. And he was talking about that. I think he brought up Manny Fernandez and just running through Manny.
Oh yeah, okay. So it was Manny. I'm glad I was correct on that.
Yep.
I'd hate for poor Manny to have taken that spear and make it the wrong thing. That wasn't easy.
Right, that's funny. Yeah, it was right. He needed to pull up. He did mention Manny Fernandez, and. So I think it was him that talks about your dad Jody, the assassin, and yeah, it's really interesting how Goldberg was talking about just the Austin thing, and if any, we're going to take questions too, guys, for Nick Patrick. So #ask Nick. So yeah, with Goldberg, we're going to talk about a little bit about Goldberg just because it was hot off the press. It was the Austin interview, and then I want your thoughts on the NWO being inducted in the Hall of Fame, and then we'll talk. Then we'll get some questions after that. So as far as Goldberg is concerned, now it was a really interesting interview because he was talking about how just he never felt appreciated during his first run in the WWE. He just kind of felt like he was the outcast. He felt like, everybody was just really, really trying to not really make him inclusive, which is one of the reasons why him and Austin never did anything. Now, granted, Goldberg came a day after Austin retired. Austin left at 19, and then Goldberg debuted the Raw right after. It was the Raw after WrestleMania 19, I think it was.
Yeah, I couldn't say the precise one, but
I think it was because The Rock was doing the promo, and then Goldberg came out.
Yeah.
I think it was, but at the same time, Austin was supposed to retire. I mean, Austin retired. He's actually never. I think he's the only wrestler who actually retired and stayed retired. Shawn Michaels had about 8 years. Was it? He came back last year. He retired in 2011. Was it 26? He retired. So he retired in 2010, right? So
they still keep drawing every time they come back.
Yeah. So I think it was 2010 if I'm not mistaken. WrestleMania 26, Taker Part 2 retired him, so I think it was 2010 if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it was 8 years, 8.5 almost years with him. With Michaels, so he almost stayed, but he didn't. But he came back
to do the thing with Flair too, didn't he? Hadn't he already retired when he came back and had the match with Flair? Or where Flair passed the torch to him?
With Michaels? Michaels, that was beforehand. That was about 2 years
before he retired.
Yeah, he retired. So he retired at 26. I think him and Flair was in Miami, and that was 24 maybe.
Okay.
23. Yeah, it was right before. Because I know he went against Cena around that time too. I think it was 24. If I'm not mistaken, in Miami.
Yeah.
Let me make sure. 24. Yep, 24. All right, and then just what are your overall thoughts on just Goldberg and just Goldberg and Austin?
Well, I can understand Goldberg not feeling comfortable when he first went to WWE because really none of us from WCW did. We were kind of outcasts. It was like it was like we had lost the war, and they were going to make everybody start from scratch. It didn't matter what your position was or how high up it was or how many years you had in business. When we first started, I was fortunate. They didn't make me to go to a training camp, but they had like maybe 3 or 4 guys that they brought in immediately. The Booker T was one, and I think Dallas was one. I'm not sure who else. But everybody else, they made go to like a training camp. They had a ring there set up so it was like they'd never worked before. They had but our ring is different than the ring you use down there. Okay, it's 2 feet bigger. It wasn't that big of a deal. When you're a wrestler, you've worked in 14-foot rings, you've worked in 20-foot rings, and everything in between. You learn to adapt. But it was more of an attitude check thing, and it was at every level. When we first went there, I had crew people that for the most part, crew guys were all pretty cool, but there were still a few of them that felt like that they had had the right to give you a little bit, like you had to pay dues to them or something, because you're the new guy on the block and you came from down here and we won the war and all that. It was really kind of silly instead of just kind of carrying on business, but it made for kind of an uncomfortable thing, especially for top guys. I could see, because they knew for a fact that they were not going to get the full thrust right away that they were getting at WCW. Yep. They were going to have some of them start from scratch again.
Yeah.
Even if they were friends with Triple H or whatever, business is business, and they treated everybody the same. I don't think anybody, there was a couple. Booker T made a really smooth transition, and bless him, because he's a great guy. And I'm glad that went so smooth for him, because he was money, of course, but he was one of the few that really had that smooth transition.
Yeah, he did, and I was happy about that because I've always been a Booker T fan. I was privileged to actually interview him, and I've interviewed Goldberg and DDP too. So it's
Booker and I are friends from way back. We did a lot of work together.
He's actually one of my favorite, one of my top 5 of all time. Actually, yep. So I was happy that transition was smooth because I was pulling for Book. And as far as DDP went, it was the Taker thing and team with Canyon and things like that, and it was still, there was still something missing as far as just with DDP, as far as not being a top guy. He was feuding with the European, for the European Championship. Now, granted, his match with Christian and that was good and things like that for the title, but he never really made it to that top that top tier. And as far as Goldberg,
well, Dallas was hurt too.
Yeah,
that time he had a couple of injuries that he was trying to work through.
Yep,
and it affected his work, and there was no other way you could get around it. He was an older guy, which wasn't bad, but he had I think it was a hip or back or something that was really bothering him. He couldn't bump and move the way he was, and that's kind of what messed Dallas up in that position.
Yeah, very interesting. They chose to do a big teeth gimmick with him, which was really, really odd for you to take a top guy for WCW and put a gimmick about having good teeth on him. That was pretty odd.
They were about teaching us all a lesson. Nobody was going to step right into that full thrust. Attitude check. They do that all the time. They do that with people who are there now that had nothing to do with WCW. It's a constant attitude check there.
Yeah. I could definitely tell with that. And then with Goldberg, he was only there for a year, but he kind of got emasculated at times by Triple H. Everybody
from WCW did. I remember when Hall and Nash first showed up on the scene. They did a little vignette somewhere where they come up and surrounded The Rock when we were coming up, and he laughed at him. He just
I remember that.
He's drawing them right out. It's like, well, okay, well, what are we gonna throw at him now?
Right, right. Yeah, I remember that. It was kind of like, oh man, you just kind of kind of blew their.
Yeah, so much for these guys.
Yeah, that was quite odd. And then your thoughts on the NWO making it to the Hall of Fame. So it's interesting. Here's my question to you. Of course, I think it's a no brainer that the NWO deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, one of the greatest factions of all time. I'm a big fan that Pac made it in the Hall of Fame with DX.
Me too.
But it's an odd. I'll be honest with you. I think it's an odd addition to the Hall of Fame that he's the fourth guy, and he's the reason why he named six because he was the sixth member of the NWO,
right.
And so it's really odd to me that I think what. I don't remember who the third, fourth, and fifth person is. Maybe Rude and DiBiase was fit in there. But what are your thoughts on Pac being them choosing Pac, choosing Waltman to be a member of the NWO faction Hall of Fame and not just Hogan, Hall, and Nash?
I think that he was as big of a part of it because each guy had their own position. It was like a level, a tier. There was Hogan, and Sean was the bump guy.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have somebody out there that's boom, 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 boom. That was him. And the next level up from him was Razor.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next up from him was Nash. And then the whole top, it was like a tier. That people had to kind of work their way through.
Yeah.
And for the sake of action, heels have to bump.
Yes.
And Nash is a big guy, and storyline wise, he can't come out just big bump around. They have to chop him down like a tree, to knock him right off the feet. Same with Hogan, so that put Sean and Razor in a position where, they had to be the action boom, boom, boom guys, and that made him, to me, as much of the formula as the rest of them. To me, in my opinion, that makes him deserve it as much as anybody.
Interesting. Appreciate your takes on that. Now, should you be a part of the NWO Hall of Fame?
No, I was a gimmick member, and I was a good gimmick piece. I was kind of like if you wanted to make it like related to music, I would have been like a studio musician that they brought in, or a saxophone player that come in that had a good little solo in there.
There it is.
But wasn't the main focus.
Yeah.
And the NWO didn't get up and fly because Nick Patrick was in it. I was very fortunate to be able to do that. It was a lot of fun, and but no, I wouldn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. It was cool. Don't get me wrong, I've been real cool, but no.
Indeed, absolutely. Now I've had Eric on my show a bunch of times, and one of the times that we talked, I asked him about like the oversaturation of the NWO when it just started to get just really just oversaturated, and just when the moment, or just a specific time, that he felt that it got oversaturated. What are your thoughts on what moment can you just really kind of pinpoint, or just kind of time frame that you could pinpoint where you just kind of thought backstage and just kind of looking at the grand scheme of things, and so many people in the room, so many people in the ring with NWO shirts. When did you think it got a little bit too much?
It was hard to tell because I knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it look like a takeover, and in order to do that, they had to make. But it's a double-edged sword. By doing that, there was a lot of guys that did not need the NWO colors to get over.
I agree.
Curt Hennig could have done it without it. He didn't need to be an NWO. Remember, he got over just as much being Curt Hennig.
Oh yeah,
and Scott Norton, Big Show. I mean, all those guys. He could have. And it made everything the same. It made everything all gray. There was it took away from people's characters and their gimmicks and their color and and their styles and tried to make everything all one. And it sounded good in theory, but then once it started, you know, I don't think there ever was really a moment that I started looking around and said, boy, this is not working. You know, because there were certain guys that were really good workers, but I think that they would have done themselves better and they'd have done the company better and the business better if they could have just been their own gimmick or something other than the gang, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Before we take some questions, I'm trying to look up as far as all the NWO members. I'm sure
they had half the territory.
Yeah. Oh,
you were NWO.
So you have Hogan, Nash, Hall, DiBiase, Giants, Vincent, Six, Buff, Bischoff, Elizabeth, NWO Sting. I actually interviewed him. Hennig, Rude, Conan, you, Dennis Rodman, VK Wall Street, Big Bubba. See, that's just oversaturated to me. Like VK Wall Street as a member of the NWO to me was just kind of odd. Savage, Norton, Chono, Disciple, and Leslie.
I think they got to the point where when they was bringing certain guys in, they thought if they just threw that NWO shirt on and made it part of the gang.
Yeah.
And it didn't work that way. You have to get over just because you got a shirt on and you're throwing out a Wolfpack sign. That don't get it. You know, you have to go out and get over it.
I agree.
I think that's what they were trying to do, and it backfired.
Yeah, that's a great point. Just putting it on. Yeah, Steiner, Bryan Adams. I forgot the Dusty was in there too. Oh man, wow, yeah, that was just oversaturated. All right, so let's ask a few questions. Hashtag ask Nick. Hashtag ask Nick. Luke is asking, what is your favorite match you've refereed?
That's hard to say. I've done so many eras. One of my things I say is when I was young, I refereed a match with Thez. I've refereed most of the main event guys from Lou Thez to John Cena. Mm-hmm. And, there were different eras in time, different matches, you know, had different styles, you know. Back in the day, Tommy Rich and Buzz Sawyer used to fight all through buildings and outside and over cars and down the alleyways, you know, back before hardcore, you know, before there was hardcore. Yeah. And Rudy Brody and Abdullah used to do the same thing. And but then there was different. I used to see Bob Roop and Ronnie Garvin used to just absolutely tear it up. They used to working with each other. Just so many different eras. Undertaker and JBL had to be some of my favorite matches because
they
were new school, but there was yet times where, especially not so much on TV or pay-per-view, but especially house shows, that they would go old school and off the script, off the chart, because we never had a script, you know, they would talk, you know, what we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And they had an outline of what they wanted to do. But we'd get out there in house shows, and I love working with them. Sometimes we'd just go off the box and they would try things just to see if it would work or if it wouldn't work. Mm-hmm. You had to just go with the flow and be part of it. And that's how we worked in old school. And mm-hmm. You don't get an opportunity to do that a whole lot anymore.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That to me is some of my favorite matches.
Nice.
Some of my favorite matches. I've actually wrestled a couple of matches. I wrestled for a while, and they had me do gimmick matches. But I've had some wrestling matches that I had to rank. And I'm not saying that they were quality-wise, but fun-wise for me. Yeah. I had with Chris Jericho back when I was with WCW, when he's supposed to have one hand tied behind his back. Mm-hmm. That was an absolute blast. And then I knew that kid was going to be a star, you know, way before he became a star. Yeah. But that was all his stuff too. He come up with the whole thing, and I was like, you know, yeah, let's just look. I'll go until I can't do it anymore. I haven't had a match in years, and then I was out there bumping around doing stuff. The next thing I know, but I come to the back, and it was fun. Yeah. I'll tell you what, when I got to the back, I collapsed. I was completely shot. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. Quick correction from me. Marcus said that 24 was in Orlando. I said Miami, so it was in Orlando. Okay. Marcus is asking, how was the move to WWE? when WCW went out of business? Was it better than you expected or worse?
It was a little bit of both. At first, it was hard at first because, like we had been talking earlier, we all had to, they had to bust everybody's chops and let us know that we were the new guys on the block and all that. But I did like that it was very organized and you answered really to one person. If you had a question, you could ask somebody. If they didn't have the answer, you knew where to go to get the answer. You always go right to the horse's head. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get a good answer from the other end. So go always to the horse's head. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. And it was good in a lot of ways. But it was hard for me because I had already done like 12 years of international travel with WCW. Yeah. And all of a sudden I'm on with WWE. And I was very fortunate to. I had a lot of things going on in my life at that time. And man, all that travel was just so hard. And they didn't make it easier on us, busting everybody's chops. So to be honest with you, I enjoyed, I think, my time with WCW more than I did my time with WWE.
Yeah. Elvis is asking, do you miss being a ref, and how did you get into the business? Who gave you your big break?
Sometimes I do miss being a ref, and it's funny. I just hit 59 years old, and sometimes I still dream that I'm on the road sometimes because I did it for so many years. When you still dream about it, but it's funny though. I'm dreaming I'm on the road, and I'm dreaming I'm trying to get my bag packed because I've got to get on the bus and make the bus on time. And I can't find all my stuff. And it's like, I don't know, man. Well, you know how it is when you try to, anyway. But I do miss being a ref. And I got my first big break was my family moved back to Georgia. And I'd started part-time up in Central States, Kansas City. And when we moved back to Georgia, I started my second year of college in my first semester, and the head referee job for Georgia Championship Wrestling came up for me. Mm-hmm. And I took it. That was big time. That was 1980, maybe 81, and that was a great place to step in. And a head ref, and I was like, man, yes sir. So I ended up taking over college completely. And I actually tried to stay in school, but I tried to study. I found out that I cannot read in a car. I get motion sick so bad. Yeah. I can't even look at a map for a couple of minutes when I'm driving. Oh, wow. And I was trying to study and do stuff. And back then, we had no technology. I didn't have a computer. I don't have a lot of technology now. I'm still a flip phone guy. I'm on my son's laptop right now. He's trying desperately to drag me into this century. But he's having a hard time. I'm kicking and screaming. My first big break was with Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, awesome. Cole is asking, did the NWO locker room like they did when the cameras were rolling, or was it mutual in the locker rooms with the likes of Flair, AA, and Sting?
Is she talking like the mood of the locker rooms? Was the mood different?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
No, not really. People just dressed, where they wanted. It wasn't like they, in reality, there's not an NWO locker room where they put up NWO and only NWO guys dressed in there. You dressed where you wanted to. That was a set for TV.
Yeah.
Everybody could have dressed, with everybody. You get wherever you can find the space, but at TV, there's so many people at TV. You just get wherever you can spread your stuff out and where you're comfortable and close to whoever you basically need to try and talk to for the rest of the evening. So track them down all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Michael's asking, do you feel refs don't get the credit they deserve, and do you consider yourself a director or producer in the ring?
I definitely do believe that refs do not get the credit that they deserve. I think that now, as I watch, especially the WWE show, not so much the others, but especially the WWE show, they're trying to keep their referees all generic.
Yeah.
They don't do anything. And there's a reason for that, because they don't want to pay royalties to us. So, because, guys like Earl, I don't know if Earl's getting anything. He may, but I doubt it. I know I'm not getting any kind of royalties. You look Nick Patrick up on the WWE network and find me doing stuff way back from 1980 up to 2009. Well, actually 2007. The last 2 years I was there, I was recovering from my back injury. But from 1980 to 2007, I was doing something. I was on TV somewhere, and that's almost all those tapes. So you can find all the old Georgia Championship wrestling stuff, the old Continental wrestling stuff, the old Billy Watts stuff out from Louisiana.
Yeah,
all kind of stuff. You can find old Nick Patrick on. And a director or producer, I'm not really sure what the difference of a director or producer is, to be honest with you, because when I was doing it, that position was referred to as an agent.
Yeah.
And, so if there is a difference between director and producer, and I'm not sure what is what now. I think they call agents producers now, if I'm not.
Yeah, they do.
I think they do.
Yep.
So I'm not entirely, I guess I'm not sure what the director would be. So, be somebody like Kevin Dunn or somebody, I guess. I'm not sure. But I definitely wouldn't call myself that. But actually, as a referee in the ring now, you just pretty much, you got an earpiece in, you know what you're doing, and you just got to go with the flow and work. You're not directing or producing anything, really.
Yeah, you're just kind of robotic.
You're working, yeah, basically,
yeah. Yeah. Let's see. There's some really good questions. Most odd change finish mid to late match. That's a real good question.
I've really not had a lot of finishes change on me during the middle of a match unless they did it on purpose to reel the young guy, or if somebody got hurt, so it wasn't really anything odd about it so much other than somebody unfortunately getting hurt. But, and I can't even remember who back in the day, there was several different young guys. They would tell them a finish and they would think that they was going over, and then the guy wouldn't kick out. And they would be like, they did it on purpose to freak them out. You know what I mean? Everybody laughed, get a big belly laugh at them, But that was they never done on television. That was always house show, funny stuff. But finishes is very serious. You don't just change it in the middle of the deal unless something drastic happens, like somebody getting hurt. So really any odd changes for me.
Do you remember anybody getting hurt like during the match or like a concussion or a break?
Oh yeah, Booker T a couple of times. Booker T one time got hurt lower back, couldn't kick out. I went to pull the count, but he didn't count. So as a referee, if that shoulder's down, you got to count it. Whether you've talked about it in the back, whether that's to finish, whether that's not to finish. If they don't kick out, you got to count it. And so I did. And it was a little house show somewhere. It was somewhere in New Jersey. And he was working with Matt Hardy. And when I counted it, I looked at him, my eyes had been as big round as he is. I was like, oh my God, that wasn't what we were supposed to do. And he looked at me and goes, I'm hurt. So I was like, oh. So I got Matt back in the corner. And I said, he's hurt, dude. So I went over, I said, can you get up? And I saw how hurt he was. He said, no, man, I'm done. I said, all right, let's lay there. So I gave him a 10 count and raised my hand. I had to improvise. So every now and then something like that will happen. One time I was in WCW. We was working in Macon, and Lord William Regal was working with Alex Wright. Remember? I don't know if you remember back then. Alex was a German kid that did the.
Oh, I've interviewed him before.
Yeah. Well, they had a match where they were having their match, and Das Wonder Kid hit the ropes, and the ropes broke. And he took the big spilling fall out to the floor. Oh man, but it didn't hurt him. But it looked like it killed him. I didn't know. It just came to me for some reason. I just reacted. You know how sometimes you're in a car wreck and you don't think about what you're doing. You just react.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I went out and I looked at the timekeeper. I said, "Mark the time." 8 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever it is. And I went to Alex. I said, sell it. Keep selling it. And so we helped him walk to the back. so that it would create interest while they had to take the time to fix the ring, so now people are wondering if Alex is okay or whatever. So we got the ring fixed, and we come back, and we had to make the announcement that we did not know if Alex was going to be able to make it. Waiting to see if clearance from the doctor, blah, blah. Well, now out he comes.
Yeah.
But he's limping. He's going to do the old, here I come, babyface thing, Yeah, here he comes. We're going on him. Wow. It's just pounded the stew out of him, and then they ended up getting back into what they were going to initially do. Mm-hmm. But it gave us a way out, instead of just everybody going, what do you do now? It's like, okay, well, stop the match. Here's the time. This kid can make it back. We tried to make a little storyline out of it.
Yeah.
And the only way you can do that is learn how to work.
And improvise.
If you never learn how to work, or you never learn how to improvise, then that stuff will never happen. If all you can do is go off of what you talked about in the back or what is written down, then when stuff like that happens, you're going to miss out on it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, very good point. Ben is asking, who did you think was not good in the ring?
As far as big money guys, I think the worst big money guy that I ever worked with, and God rest his soul, I don't ever talk bad about somebody that's passed on, but I said it when he was alive, so I'm going to go ahead and say it again. The Ultimate Warrior to me was one of the worst. He had great fire. He looked awesome. He had charisma, but he was terrible because you never knew what he was going to do. He could hurt you, but he was so daggone strong. Mm-hmm. He blew my knee out, actually. I was working with him, and he came to WCW. I was working with him, and he was working with Hogan. And Hogan did something and knocked him down. He was way in the corner on the other side of the ring, and I'm pushing Hogan back. And all of a sudden, he rolled into the side, and I don't even know how he got there, because he was back in the corner just seconds before, but he rolled into the side of my knee, and my knee to the inside. And I grabbed Holt by the chest, and I was like, oh, because I felt something give. And I tried to lift I could walk, I could put weight on it, but I couldn't raise my heel up to touch my rear end. You know what I'm saying? That whatever connects that, my hamstring was gone. Oh, so I looked at Holt, and I said, he just blew my knee out. And he went, well, can you take a bump? I said, yeah, I think so. And he grabbed me by my head and threw me out over the top rope. I got a blown out knee up. I took the bump over the top rope and just kind of hit and roll. Mm-hmm. I was okay. I could walk, but I could not bring my heel up. And it ended up having to have an ACL replacement.
Oh, goodness. Wow.
But you never knew what he was going to do or where it was coming from. He was so big and strong, kind of clumsy. He could hurt you.
Wow. That was a fantastic answer. I never knew that. I mean, I knew that. A lot of people this isn't new. I mean, a lot of people have said that about Warrior, but I didn't know about your knee getting blown out because of a match with him and Hogan. That's very interesting. Did you watch TLC at all?
No, I did not.
Okay. All right, so we'll skip that question. Brendan's asking, did Curt Hennig ever rib you? If so, care to share the rib?
No, he never ribbed me, but him and I used to rib poor Dave Penzer, the ring announcer for WCW back in the day. And it started off Curt doing it, and then what he would do is he would get a chain, and we would padlock Penzer's briefcase to something different at every building that we went to. So he got to where he was watching Curt. So Curt drafted me. He said, Nick, he's watching me, so I need you to do this for me. So then I started doing it. So now he couldn't figure out where it was coming from. He thought it was us. He thought it was him. And then he kind of thought it was me. But he knew it was Curt at first, but he couldn't never prove it. So now we had him bouncing back and forth, and we had half the territory watching for us. We'd be handcuffing his briefcase to toilet stools and benches and chairs and lockers. I mean, everything that we could find. And I ended up telling him after Curt was gone who it was. But we drove that poor man crazy.
Poor Penzer. Very, very interesting. Lexi's asking, are you a fan of the Vice series Beyond the Ring? If so, what unsolved mystery or scandal would you want them to focus on?
I have not seen that. I don't do a lot of the network stuff, and my life is so busy right now. I watch a little bit of the show because my son Nick, my oldest son Nick, is autistic, and he loves to watch the show. He watches all the WWE stuff, so unfortunately, I don't get to see a lot of stuff. But we just see it on TV. We don't do network, and I haven't seen a lot of the other stuff. Like I said, I have a son to take care of. Earlier, I talked about taking care of my parents and stuff now as they're getting older. So
yeah,
there's a lot of wrestling stuff that I'm more interested about what happens in the ring performance-wise. Everything else to me is storyline and window dressing.
Yeah.
That to me is what I'm more focused on.
Yeah, I like backstage stuff, man. I like the nitty-gritty stuff that I don't,
it's unscripted. That's one thing, but you never really ever get that.
Yeah, the Viceland. When you get a chance, have your son or whoever just get you hip to that Viana Ring series from Viceland. It's really, really good. It's yeah, they've had one on. I think they've only had one season. I think they've talked about bringing a second season but it was on the Screw Job. Then they've had 6.
Oh, I have seen some of that. I saw one with Cody, and I saw one with Earl.
Yep. So that was the Brett one, the Brody, the Von Erichs.
Yeah, I did see that. So yes, in answer to your question, now that you mentioned that, I didn't know. I caught it. Flipping. My son watches like 5 things at one time. Flip. And there's been a couple of times that I've caught that, and I'll be watching it, and next thing, flip, I'm off to something else,
Yeah.
But yes, I have seen part of that, and I think it's very, very interesting, and I'm glad that the truth is coming out about a lot of different things. And I did see the one about Moolah too. I thought it was very good that they had point of view from a lot of different ladies that that were firmly in her corner, and then there were other ladies that had very negative business dealings with her. I mean, and those ladies were legitimate too. They were great, talented ladies.
Yeah.
So you got pretty much the real story out of that. And same with the Brody story. Actually, things that I didn't know. And I'm really good friends with Tony Atlas. Tony gave us kind of a basic outline, of what happened. But I never ever grill anybody about details. If somebody has gone through some kind of experience or grief or whatever, man, you don't have to relive it for my sake. Tell them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I didn't want to get too deep into it with it,
Yeah. Savage one was good. I really enjoyed the Gino one.
Yeah. That was such a tragedy too.
Yes.
His dad, was it Ray? Ray Hernandez?
Mm-hmm.
That was his name. My father, his father passed away from a heart attack while he was wrestling in Japan. And my dad is the one that brought his body back in an urn from Japan to his family. Back Gino was just a little boy. Wow. I was a little bitty. Gino was a couple years older than me. So
Lewis.
Very when it happened.
Lewis.
Yeah.
Louis Hernandez, it looks like.
Yes. Him and my dad were really good friends. And, that's why my dad wanted to make sure he got it back to his family, because they were tight.
Yeah. Wow. That's it's really interesting. That was just, I've seen documentaries before and about Gino, but it was a really good way. It was a really good in-depth, a
lot of things going on down there in that time.
Yes.
The 80s was crazy. And, a lot of bad things going on. A lot of us didn't make it.
Unfortunately. Yeah. All right, Alex, a few more to I can do this all night, man. I love I love this stuff. All right, Robbie's asking, is there a match where a wrestler won that you clearly thought the opponent should have won the match? Good question.
There's guys that I thought should have went over instead of the other guy, but as far as it sounds like the way the question is worded, it sounds like did I think that the Steelers should have beat the 49ers or what? You know what I mean? But there's always instances where there's guys that you think, wow, why they haven't put him over? But I'm not even going to throw names out like that. Unless and I really can't think of anybody right off the bat that really sticks out. But I think of anybody that should have won that didn't. It's business. You win and then you lose. It's nobody going to win all the time.
Yeah,
it's a business you got to do.
Yep. Cole is asking, do you have a good story of Benoit to share with us?
Oh, Chris was a good guy. It was funny back in the day when we was doing TVs at Center Stage, and Chris was really good friends with Big Max Payne. I don't know, Man Mountain
Rock.
Yeah. He was Max Payne at the time, right?
Yep, WCW.
We were doing TV tapings down at Center Stage, and Booker T ordered a hot dog. It had mustard and ketchup on it. It was a beautiful hot dog. He had sitting down there. He had to go run and do an interview real quick. When he was gone, Benoit took that hot dog and ate it in about 3 bites. Now, Booker's a great guy, but he don't want to be ribbed, And man, he come back and saw his hot dog was gone, and he got mad. Wow. And he started cutting a promo, and he looked over there, and Chris stepped up and said, "I don't know what happened to your hot dog," and he had mustard all dripped. And the Booker saw that, and he didn't say anything to Chris. He just got mad. He just knew he'd been ribbed.
Yeah.
Like, oh, but you could see underneath he was boiling, but he didn't want nobody messing with his food.
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny. But Chris, I'll never forget one of my birthdays. I was in with WWE. I was 40 something, getting approaching 50, I guess. But, I was still in my late 40s, and had a birthday out on the road. Sometimes that's not always easy. You kind of want to be around your family. But anyway, we was in some little town in Italy, and Chris and Chavo Jr. went to the caterer and had make me this gourmet birthday cake. It was awesome. It was like some velvet cake with some special. It was unbelievable. And they brought me this big cake in the locker room, and Benoit and Chavo sang "Happy Birthday" to me in the locker room. And then we divided up cake amongst everybody and went out and had the show. And Benoit might have had a little cake in the corner of his mouth.
Now I gotta figure out. Now I gotta kind of rake through all the shows and figure out which match will I see some cake residue on.
He was a river. Benoit was a river too.
I've definitely heard about Benoit ribbon for sure. Here's a really good question. You ever witnessed wrestler's court?
Oh yeah, I was in a couple of wrestlers' courts.
Oh, please share.
The girls all one time had a big beef. It was Charmel was mad at it, and she had a right reason to be. I forgot the other girl's name. Oh, Melina. They had. I thought they were going to come to blows at one point in time, but they didn't. And they had a big wrestlers' court over it, And I got to thinking, geez. We're overseas. We're sitting here in the catering room with a big wrestler's court about the girls arguing in the locker room. I said, "There's Amula be rolling over in her grave right now." They didn't do that, but they brought it out to everybody else to see, And, and there was a couple of them. There was one more. I can't even remember who it was, but I wasn't in on any of the good ones. All the funny ones happened before I was there at WWE, and a couple of the funny ones I really couldn't be able to tell you on the air, to be honest with you. But
based on your wrestler's court experience, so Taker's usually the one who's like the judge, right? He's
not necessarily. It's whoever that you sit it, and then the main. It's more like everybody that listens is part of it. There's one judge. Yeah, if Taker's there, then he would be the guy. Whoever usually is the main guy kind of stands over, and there's usually somebody that will defend. There's somebody that will prosecute, or you speak for yourself. Whatever it may be. But most of the time, wrestlers' court always ended up turning into being a joke. It wasn't meant to be, somebody's going to get flogged or something like that, or fired or beat up or anything. It was more of a funny ha-ha thing.
Yeah.
But it was like ribbon on the square. You got your point across, and you let them know, hey, look, this ain't right, But we're calling you out on it, but we're not, straighten it up before it gets, so it don't have to get at it.
Yeah. Speaking of wrestlers together, we'll close after this. Where were you during the plane ride from hell incident?
Plane ride from hell. Which one was that?
Coming back from Europe, where
it almost crashed at one time, or
no, the plane ride where Lesnar and Perfect
was wrestling up and down the aisles.
Yeah, Flair was exposing himself, and Hayes got his hair cut and all.
That was nice. It was. I'm a very light sleeper, so I was good. I was able to doze, but man, I can hear what's going on around me. Especially.
So you were on the plane?
Oh yeah, I was on the plane.
Wow.
Yeah, it was almost as bad as the B bus on WCW. Not quite.
The B bus?
Oh, the B bus on WCW was absolutely.
Whoa! Share. I don't know about this.
Oh, the B bus was the heel bus on WCW. That was the bus that everybody rode on, and ended up in some town in England that when Arn and Sid got in that big fight.
Oh, the stabbing.
Yeah. Well, the B bus was the bus that all got started on, and then that all happened on the very first night of the tour.
Mm-hmm. What year was this?
Huh?
What year was this?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. It was mid '90s sometime. Mm-hmm. It was probably no more earlier '90s.
It was like '93.
Thing yet.
Yeah.
And, let's see, Max Payne was still there, and Rude was there, and Sid was there. And so it was early mid '90s.
Yeah.
That was a
93.
Total debauchery.
Yeah. The B bus.
We got a funny Brian Knobs story.
Oh, go for it.
It was the last night. I think it was that tour. It might have been. It was that tour or one close to it. And the night before, he was in the hotel bar, and the big Harris twins was in there.
Mm-hmm. Ron and Don.
Yeah. And Knobs, great guy, funny guy. He's just wide open. And if he starts ribbing on you and bagging on you, it can become unbearable. So he was bagging on one of these Harris boys, and the Harris boy was wanting to wail on him.
There's some big dudes.
Yeah. So the other brother was kind of holding him back. So nothing happened that night. But it was only a couple hours we had to get on the bus, right? So we're all getting on the bus. We threw our stuff on there. There's about 4 or 5 of us on the bus. And Knobs is standing down there where you put your bags on. So now the Harris boys come walking up. And Knobs goes, "Hey, Harris boys, put your heads together and make a butt."
Oh, goodness.
And when he said that, they both looked at him and went, boom, 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 boom. They started wailing on poor Knobs. Now, Brian's standing there. He's still drinking beer, I guess, for the night before. He got a beer in his hand. Now, all of a sudden, bam, bam, bam. He's getting rocked back and forth. He didn't drop one drop of that beer. He was getting ragtagged.
Wow.
So now he stood out there for a minute. The Harris boys, they get on the bus, and then one of them had rings on it. He had blood all coming down his knuckles. And the other one knuckles was scuffed up. Knobs got on there, and all he had was a couple of red spots in his head, right? And he still had the beer in his hand and looks at everybody on the bus and goes, "Hey, how'd I do?" "Oh, you're getting great, brother."
Oh, man, that's hilarious. Well, there's some really good questions still left on the table, but we'll save them for next time. We got to have you back, man. You've been a pleasure. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Michael said this is his favorite interview of 2019. So,
all right, cool.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Michael.
I have an interview every week, so I've had 50 interviews of this year. So, or at least like I'll have like two parters, so at least I've had 40. I have an interview every week, so for him to say that that says a lot, man. So I appreciate you. Sorry for anybody I didn't ask your question. Nick will be back soon. We got to get you back to do this stuff, man. I can do. We've been on almost an hour. It doesn't seem like it. So
no, man, it went by quick.
Yeah, dude.
Man, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Take care, man.
All right, bye-bye. Nick Patrick. Thanks much, Nick Patrick, for being on the show, man. Awesome, good stuff. I really, really appreciate it. All right, so we're going to freestyle it a lot tonight. I really didn't have much headlines to talk about. I wanted to haven't watched all of Into the Fire yet. I know that Marty Scurll is in the NWA now. Came out on Power, and so I'm interested to see how that was. We'll talk about. I did watch Final Battle though, and I did want to discuss with the PNP Nation the Jericho thing. I found that to be very, very interesting. The Jericho thing, as far as him having a meeting about the tag team. The problems with the tag team division. So I definitely want to talk about that. And of course, I want to do mostly any Ask Chris questions tonight. And then as we go into the Royal Rumble season, I'll do this. I'll actually let the PNP Nation ask the Royal Rumble trivia questions. I'll leave the trivia up to you all tonight. I'll put the trivia question on the screen, and I'll have the PNP Nation answer the trivia question that anybody asks on the chat. So I'll let the PNP Nation determine the trivia tonight, and if anybody has a Royal Rumble related flavor of the week question, just throw it out there. So purposely wanted to freestyle tonight. Is the we only have 2 more episodes, and like I said, the New Year's Eve episode, we're still going to have it. Not going to cancel it, but I think I got some ministry to do that night. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to have it around like 7 or 7:30 or something like that. It's going to be abbreviated. It'll probably only be like an hour, but I think maybe like a 7 to 8 Eastern. I always stick with 11, but because it's going to be New Year's Eve, and I'm throwing a big Jesus party at a good pastor friend of mine's church. So I'll be DJing, and we're going to bring in the new year, just having a lot of fun. So I think that we'll do the show that day around 7 to 7:30. Follow at Chris Prolific, as you see right there. Follow at Chris Prolific, and I definitely will give you all details on that show, the New Year's Eve show. Christmas Eve, normal. We'll have the show on Christmas Eve. So basically, I'll be celebrating Christmas with you all, because I'll be going into Christmas with the shows. The Christmas Eve is next week. So very interesting stuff. And the New Year's Eve is the Wednesday after. Like I said, around 7:30. We'll make some abbreviations for that going into the new year. All right. Just those are just some quick announcements going into the new year. The last 2 more shows left for the new year. So again, any Ask Chris questions, go for them. Any trivia that you have for Royal Rumble, go ahead and post it. I'll go ahead and put it up. And we do want to talk about just your thoughts on Final Battle. Talk about Final Battle a little bit, and we'll also talk about Chris Jericho's meeting that he had, and any other thoughts that you have we'll make it happen. All right, let's see what else we have. All right, we already got some really good extras questions. So I will that. Nick Corey is your number one fan, Nick Patrick. That's really cool. Big shout out to Michael. All right, Alonzo is asking, what is your opinion of the recent WWE releases? Sin Cara, Luke Harper, the Ascension, and Jordan Myles. We talked about it on the show, I think, last week. I mean, none of them were of much. I don't want to say it's definitely worth isn't the word. So they're all worth. I mean, they're all of worth by being WWE superstars. But I would say importance. They weren't of great importance at the time. None of them were surprising. Jordan Myles definitely wasn't surprising. He wanted to be let go, and then he burned bridges with, he had a bad start with MLW with the Opera Cup. So I want to talk to that guy. I really want to talk to Jordan Myles, man. I want to have some certified life coach intervention with him. I think I have my life coach certificate. Oh, it's in my wall of, this is my studio here. My studio office is what I call it, studio office. And on my wall, I have a kind of like a few of my license or my certifications, and my personal trainer certification and my life coach certification. It's but yeah, I wanted to show him, like, dude, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you, ACH. I want to talk to you, man. I really pray, I really hope and pray, man, that you would allow me to discuss some hard truths with you, man, in love. And just really kind of get this thing together. I'm currently a mental health therapist. I'm certified here in the state of Ohio. I'm a qualified mental health specialist. And yeah, I want to talk to you, man. I'm a certified life coach. I'm about to be a doctor in psychology, and and after that, I'm gonna get my second master's in clinical mental health counseling. So that's my quick elevator pitch of my credentials, ACH. I've been in ministry for 21 years. I want to talk to you, man. So have your people call my people. And you don't even have to call my people. Call me. Talk to me. Hit me up on Facebook, Chris Featherstone. Send me a message. Send a message to the Crave Wrestling Facebook page. Let's make this happen, man. So, in all seriousness, I want to talk to you, man. I want to get gritty with this stuff, because I'm frustrated at this. I'm disappointed at this, and I'm hoping that I can help in any way, therapy wise, man. Because just don't allow social media to prostitute something that's you need to talk to somebody about. So social media can do that. There are savages in social media that just want to glow. I just want to have fun with your ongoing frustrations, and they just want to add fuel to the fire. Now, from a journalistic standpoint, I reported those things, and I've had, some, me and JTG, we had an episode on that. And of course, as a journalist, I'm going to report those things. But in all seriousness, man, from a personal standpoint, throw journalism out the door. I want to talk to you, ACH. If I can just talk to you on the phone, if you just allow me to dig, man, and to get some hard truths and chat with you, that would be fantastic. So contact me, PNP Nation. If you can if you can tweet ACH and give him my Twitter handle at Chris Prolific right there, let me know. Elvis is asking, what do I think about Seth and LP teaming up? I think it's a good move for Seth. I think it's one of those things that you can't just really. I'm a Roman Reigns fan. I'm a Roman Reigns apologist when it comes to the WWE. I was cool with them keeping him babyface because it's one of those things that WWE fans, pro wrestling fans, period, are just so fickle. The pro wrestling fans are that just swapping people from face to heel to face to heel to face to heel. It just hurts not only the person who's turning, but other people that's trying to be stable and trying to develop a character. So you can't always make a turn based on what fans are saying. You can't do that all the time. You can't do it most of the time, actually. But with Seth, I think it works for him because I think it was one of those universal things, because at least Roman Reigns was getting polarizing heat. There was a reaction for Roman Reigns. It was not good. I wasn't a fan of it because I think that people just didn't give Roman Reigns his just due like they are now. Because if you think about it, there was a meme that I saw. There was a picture that I saw recently that was talking about AJ Styles, Braun Strowman. There was like 3 or 4 names that Roman helped put over. And I was like, you can't complain about them, especially with Braun Strowman. Roman Reigns single-handedly made Braun Strowman a star. Name me one other person that has feuded with Braun Strowman that has elevated him to the level that Roman Reigns has. I think you'd have a hard time naming that person. So Roman Reigns definitely didn't get his just due. But with Rollins, though, I think it was one of those things that we universally kind of was like, yeah, like it's just a non-reaction. Like he started to get booed because people they were just tired of the shtick, and beating Brock Lesnar. It's so funny because I always think about pivotal moments when it comes to fan reactions, because I can't stand just fickle fandom. I don't like that at all. But one thing I did realize with Roman, I think the pivotal moment was the Rumble. When everybody wanted, I think it was in Pittsburgh, if I'm not mistaken. Everybody wanted Daniel Bryan to win, and Roman Reigns ended up winning. So Rock came out, and that still didn't work. So the pivotal moment for Roman Reigns was the Daniel Bryan thing. I think the pivotal moment for Seth Rollins was the if I can pinpoint something, I would say that it was the Battle Royal to determine the number 1 contender on Raw. Like the Raw or 2 before, or maybe 3 before SummerSlam, because he went against Brock Lesnar and beat him at SummerSlam, and I don't remember exactly that date. Let me see. So maybe like a number 1 contender Battle Royal, Universal Championship or something like that. So it's July. It was in July. So the Raw Battle Royal in July, that Seth won. So it was the 15th of July. Yeah. So that was the pivotal moment to me for Seth Rollins, because people just was like, oh no, again? It was like Seth Rollins again. Oh, and I know that's how I felt, because I didn't want Seth to win the Royal Rumble. Actually, I didn't want him. Like Seth versus Brock just didn't cut it for me. I'm glad I was at Mania. I'm glad that it was first. I think it was a very solid Mania this year. I was glad that that was first. I wasn't happy. I'm not a Brock guy either, but I was not happy that Seth won. To me, it was just like you're kind of forcing this. I really like Seth last year in that workhorse type of role. He fit in that perfectly. He was super over last year when he had the Intercontinental Championship. Had that, 60 plus minute iron, kind of gauntlet match on Raw. He was way over. It's crazy because last year it was a whole different ball game. But this year was much different because people just weren't buying him kind of being thrust into the main event picture, and people just weren't buying him being a viable opponent for Brock Lesnar, including myself. And then for him to beat him and then win the Battle Royal in July. And then, so it was July 15th. It was Baron Corbin, Big E, Bobby Lashley, Braun Strowman, Cesaro, Orton, Mysterio, Reigns, and Zayn. So there were some heavy hitters in that 10-man battle royal that night. So I think I didn't want Roman. Roman Reigns is my favorite out of that list, but I didn't want Roman Reigns to win because they're still kind of building him up to be a good baby face, and they're doing a pretty good job at it. I like the slowness of really kind of getting the good graces with the fans. I think that's keep that slow burn going. So I didn't want him to win. I didn't want any of the heels to win. I think I wanted Cesaro. Actually, I think I did want Cesaro to win and become a babyface because I didn't see Braun. I think Braun was the favorite of that night, but when he didn't win, I think it was one of those things like, okay, so who else could it be? They're not going to do Lashley, although I've been saying Lashley, Lesnar. Y'all, for those who look at the show, who listen and watch the show every week, y'all know that countless amount of times I always say Lashley, Lesnar, Lashley, Lesnar, Lashley, Lesnar, Lashley, my man. I mean, I want Lashley, Lesnar. Lashley is a babyface, Lesnar is a heel. But I didn't think I knew that they weren't going to do that. So I was like, you know what? I'm cool with Cesaro Lesnar. Totally cool with Cesaro Lesnar. Even if Cesaro loses, I think it would be a great opportunity for him. But it was just same old Seth Rollins. So it was just like, for me, that was just kind of like the pivotal point for me. Just like, And you could tell that the fans were just kind of turning their backs on them too. So I think that was the pivotal point for them. But I think with teaming up with LP, I think it really, I like Seth's heel. I like Seth as a heel right now because when I want him to lose, that's what heels are all about. You want them to lose. And I think I actually want him to beat Rey Mysterio for an end game. I want him to become United States champion because it opens up an opportunity for a babyface to shine, whoever they insert there. I think he'll, and it probably, I would prefer a U.S. title feud with Rollins and Owens. I'd be totally cool with that. I'd totally be cool with Rollins Owens at Mania for the U.S. title. Build this thing up. 3.5 months is no time to push a feud. That's nothing. There's 3.5 months before Mania, so perfect opportunity. Let it build. I'm glad it wasn't at TLC. As much as it seemed like it was the right thing to put it on TLC, I'm glad it didn't go on there because you got to build this thing. Keep building. We didn't see Owens on Raw. Rey Mysterio's in the feud now, so he's like in addition to it. I like it. I like what I'm seeing with this. I think it's a good feud. I think it's a good build. It's one of the only things that I really enjoy the build up as far as a feud storyline wise on Raw right now. I think you got to slow it, make it real slow and methodical. And I think what you do is you do old school booking. 3.5 months is nothing, to have a feud and really spend some time. And 3.5 months is what, 14 weeks. So that's perfect. That's perfect. So I think that's what you do. Build it up, and you continue to have you can even do like a big injury angle with Owens. You can have Owens and Owens get jumped by all three of them. That puts them off TV to about February. Now you have Mysterio with Seth Rollins, and you have them feud, have them go at the Royal Rumble, something like that. I think that will work. I think you have Seth win next Monday. I know there's spoilers out. I haven't seen them yet, so I don't know. If Seth didn't win on Monday, I think he should win the title before the Royal Rumble or at the Royal Rumble, one or the other. So that's what you do. Yeah, you eventually build this to Owens versus Rollins for the U.S. Championship at Mania. I think that'll be great. So right now, I like what I'm saying with that tandem. Can I find out if Nick does autographs? If he does, can I get information? Sure. Remind me on Twitter or Facebook. Send me a Facebook message about that. So, what did I personally overcome this week? Sickness. Thank God. Excuse me. I'm hiccuping. Sickness, man. I was, as y'all know, I was stuffy last week. Still a little stuffy right here. I'm a big Chris Farley's my all-time favorite actor. So when I said this, I thought about not Tommy Boy, but oh my gosh, not Tommy Boy, the one before Tommy Boy. Talking about I do car parts for the American people because Dan Aykroyd was on there too. I'm not going to look at the chat because I'm sure y'all probably already have it. Not Tommy Boy. Okay, it was Tommy Boy because Black Sheep is my all-time favorite, so it was Tommy Boy. Okay, so it's Tommy Boy. So Tommy Boy's 95, Black Sheep was 96. He came out every year with one before he passed. Airhead's 94. But he really started. Tommy Boy is really what he started in. Tommy Boy 95, Black Sheep 96, Beverly Hills Ninja 97, Almost Heroes 98. Yeah, very interesting stuff. But yeah, Tommy Boy. So when he got hit with I think it was a 2x4 or something, and they were at the restaurant. And he was like, do I have something? He was like, it hurts. He's like, not here or here so much, but right here. and when I did that, I thought about that Farley moment. Yeah. So, all right. So that was what I overcame. Thank you for asking. Lexi's asking, what are my thoughts surrounding Charlotte's actions at TLC with Kairi Sane? Do I think she generally did not know Cara was hurt, or did you think her ongoing frustrations came out? Yeah, I mean, I think that she was frustrated. I think now I don't think that she knew that Kairi was concussed. I think from what I heard, it was early on, like it was some table spot or something like that, and she got concussed. But the chair darting and things like that, when she was just kind of darting chairs and stuff, I don't know if that affect her. I mean, I don't know if her concussion kind of made her loopy, but yeah, I was like, Kairi, what in the world are you doing? She was just kind of she bounced. She was kind of just carelessly just throwing a chair, and it bounced and hit in her face, and then she started darting the chair. And then Charlotte was just kind of looking at her like, what in the world are you doing? And she kind of darted back at her. So you could tell that wasn't scripted. That wasn't a part of the script. And then that power bomb spot was just, I mean, you could tell that even if that was a part of the booking, if that was a part of the process, you could tell that Kairi just wasn't in it. I mean, she was just kind of like lifeless in a sense. And she had to really kind of come up, and Charlotte kind of had to. I don't think she was purposely sandbagging. I definitely don't think she was purposely sandbagging. I would say that Kairi Sane you know, I wouldn't imagine her doing something like that, just sandbagging. I would also say that it's not a good idea for her to do that this early at all, really, but especially this early in her pro wrestling career to just purposely sandbag. I definitely didn't think that was the case. I just think that Kairi was just out of it. I just think she was out of it in that powerbomb spot. It was just seemed like it was improvised. She tried to I think Charlotte tried to do a spear on her and just it was botched, and the chair shots just really didn't work out either. You could tell that Charlotte was frustrated. I think that powerbomb spot. I do think that powerbomb spot was improvised, and just she was. I don't think she was purposely sandbagging. I just think that she. I mean, if someone's concussed, just think about it. If someone has a concussion, and then you're trying to. They're trying to sell a move. So with every move, it takes two people typically to execute a really good move, or just execute any move, really, even a body slam. So she tried to flip over a concussed person, and the fact that when someone does the power bomb, it takes two people. So you're lifting, and the person is kind of boosting themselves up to make it a very seamless transition to do an actual power bomb. And Kairi, mentally at that point, she was just out of it. So I mean, I would imagine that frustrated Charlotte, but I imagine she didn't think she was concussed at that point too. So I think it was just kind of a little bit of everything. It was just a really sloppy match. It was sloppy match. As far as TLC is concerned, I wasn't a big fan of it. I think it was just an okay pay-per-view. I like the Daniel Bryan ROH American Dragon comeback. I think that was pretty cool. I think that was the best part of it. There wasn't terrible matches. I mean, I really didn't care about Raiders against OC, and especially OC beat them on Raw. That was interesting. Seemed like they're doing the 50-50 thing with the Viking Raiders now. Why in the world would you have the Viking Raiders be so dominant for weeks and weeks and weeks, and now do 50-50 with the OC, who's like the king of 50-50 as far as tag teams? You do all this 50-50 booking with tag teams. You actually have the Viking Raiders who are being dominant, who look dominant, and then you're 50-50 booking them with with a team who always gets 50-50 books. So no one looks really good right now. So that's just poor booking. That's a poor way to try to get somebody over by having them lose against a team that's start-stop pushed all the time. It's just mind-boggling to me. The Lashley Rusev stuff can go. I'm not into it. I mean, I'm sure. I hope this payoff is leading to something. I don't know. I mean, the engagement thing, I'm not buying it. I'm not into it. Corbin defeating Reigns, I think it was cool. I think it was a good way to put, again, this slow build. I think it's a good thing. Of course, from what I've heard, Reigns, the Corbin feud right now is just kind of like a cushion or whatever, just kind of like what am I looking for? Just kind of like a standby type of thing for Reigns, and the rumors are Reigns versus Bray, the Fiend at Mania. You know what? Unless I don't want Reigns to win at Mania, unless the person that he's going into is getting a whole lot of heat. That's the reason why Kofi and Daniel Bryan worked so well, because people hated Daniel Bryan, and I always say a good baby face stems from a good heel, or a good heel makes a good baby face. And that's how Kofi and Bryan worked. It was just amazing. It worked so good because Daniel Bryan was so good as a heel. And in order to get Reigns over, as that Mania moment. He's got to dance with a good heel. I mean, people crap on Shane being a heel. I'm a Shane guy. I prefer him as a babyface. But when Shane and Drew were together, that helped Reigns substantially as a babyface. Corbin right now, people hate Baron Corbin. He's a heel. He's one of the best heels in WWE, substantially helping Roman Reigns. He gets cheered like crazy now. So you got to keep with that heel thing. And as crazy as I don't like it, as much as I don't like it, people are cheering Bray Wyatt. They shouldn't be. It's like, dude, you're cheering for someone who just invaded someone's family, someone's wife and kid. But you're cheering that and saying, let them in. Type of deranged society are we in right now? But I mean, if Reigns Bray is the projection for Mania, you've got a short amount of time. You only got a good 2 months probably to really hone in on making Drew. I mean, not making Drew, but making Bray Wyatt or the Fiend a hated guy. Somehow you're going to have to do that. Make him super hated and make this work. Otherwise, you're going to get the same reaction. People are going to be booing Roman Reigns. And it just you spent this whole year making it as if finally Reigns is a top babyface and he's in a good spot, a really sweet spot, gets cheered a lot, gets cheered more this year than he has really ever post Shield. So you can't just blow that away. You spent the whole year trying to make what you wanted to happen for years now. You can't just blow it away from some match at Mania. You can't do that. You can't risk it. You can't risk it for that. So I wouldn't do it. As far as the rest of TLC, I mean, New Day and Revival was really good. Big props to that. I was happy with that. Surprised that Buddy Murphy had so much offense on Aleister Black. If the goal is to push Aleister Black and make him the guy, it was just odd to me to see that much offense coming from Buddy Murphy, especially when it seems like he's probably going to just be fodder for Aleister Black. So, but yeah, that was TLC. And then Raw, as far as Raw and SmackDown, just same old. Yeah. I just really, it was just really, nothing that really stood out. What the heck are they doing with Bayley, man? Bayley just seems so out of place. They had her cut her hair. Deanna Purrazzo on Raw. How about that? That was interesting. But yeah, Orton Styles was a good match. That was a pretty good match, actually. Yeah. Gauntlet match was too long. Just to lead to the Rollins thing. That was just way too long. And then Seth Rollins is he's killing it. I think he's doing a good job. Good question, Lexi, as always. Yeah, exactly, Daniel. Cheering for a schizophrenic stalker. Hashtag WWE logic. Yeah, that's odd. Yeah. And I agree with this as well. Reigns still looks strong. I think the ending was off. I think the goal is to make Reigns look strong, but I would have saved that for SmackDown. You didn't need to do that at the end of the show. Save it for SmackDown. Build this thing up. Do it. Have a match at Royal Rumble. If you're going to have him lose to Corbin, have him lose to Corbin. Have the fans hate Corbin and can't wait until Friday where the babyface gets his comeuppance. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me that you would do something like that. That's just weird to me. That you would say, okay, well, let's have the heel beat the babyface, but at the end of the night, let's have the babyface spear him off the platform into a bunch of people. So the heel winning really didn't mean much because the babyface is over tonight anyways. It just, again, I don't understand what goes on in these production meetings. I don't get it. I'm like, man, I don't get paid to think about this stuff. And it's like, Maybe because I've been watching wrestling for almost 35 years to understand just the dynamics of it. And a lot of those people who are writers, they're just kind of like people from the outside who knows how to produce, television. So they're not really like gritty, like diehard fans, which obviously you can obviously tell that not being a gritty diehard wrestling fan is just a really missing element. You could tell with a lot of stuff that you see. Unfortunately, Heyman's doing this thing trying to be the director of all that, but just like Bischoff said, like when he was executive director, he had to hire a team, he had to, oversee a team and all that stuff. So you're overseeing a whole lot of things, and it's just a weird thing. You can tell that the people who are writing don't really know the ins and outs of really dynamic and just really building stuff and stretching it and getting us emotionally involved. You really don't see that, and I'm not a big fan of that. Let's see. Good stuff, guys. Very, very good stuff. Evan's sick. I chatted with him. I talk to Evan every day. Chatted with him earlier. Wasn't feeling too well. Lonzo's asking where he is. Not feeling too well, so he might be asleep. He might be asleep. He's a night owl like me, so he'll probably pop up and let me know, like, oh man, I fell asleep. Cole's asking, what's the word on NXT being a co-main event at Mania? Will it be an NXT Championship match or a cross-brand match? I think it's for the NXT Championship, which I'm like, man, I don't want that. I don't want it to happen. It's like, make NXT its own entity, man. Like you're slowly just sprinkling way too much WWE into NXT right now. Make TakeOver be a thing, and it's like, I'll be there. I'll be there in WrestleMania weekend, and it's like, I want NXT. Like, let's make NXT a thing. Let's keep NXT TakeOver a thing. Let's separate it from Mania. Now, granted, for NXT people, if they're actually on the main card of Mania, that's huge for them. Say if Adam Cole or whoever is left, I want to see Adam Cole versus Keith Lee personally. I want Keith Lee to win the title, but I get it, if they're on WrestleMania, but to me, I'm still like, you don't want to give us more main roster like stuff. And like, we're already dissatisfied with the stuff that we already have. Like, I got 3 kids. I'm like, you know what? Before you ask for anything more, do better with what you have. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how I feel with WWE product. Before we get more stuff, like, do better with what we have. And that's how I feel about that. I mean, I don't want NXT to be a main roster feel. I mean, Ciampa, speaking of that, let's talk about that real quick. Tommaso Ciampa I think he was interviewed by, Chasing Glory, whatever, with Lillian Garcia. She's really good podcaster. Her podcasting is really good. I mean, she's not a podcaster. Of course, she's a ring announcer, but I think that they've done a pretty good job with NXT with keeping it separate. So I appreciate that. The only thing is that I think with NXT, you still kind of have that feel where it needs to be main roster. Tommaso, because the thing is, people in the main roster are going to want to be on NXT. Because according to Ciampa, he said a few things. He said, one, he doesn't want to be a part of Raw or SmackDown. He said that he's banged up. He doesn't know how much time he has to go. He wants to be, a backstage, a trainer. He wants to work in that role. He said that he'd rather spend a few more years with NXT because they only compete, about a good 50 times or so a year, as opposed to, 5 times more than that, with with Raw or SmackDown. So I think it's a smart move. I think it's a very smart move for Ciampa to say, you know what, I'd rather stay on NXT and take the big pay cut and be happy and have longevity and satisfied and be a top guy than just go into the main roster and just get, stuck in the muddy waters, man. And major kudos to Ciampa for that. And so I'd imagine, someone like a Balor too. And I would imagine some people on Raw or SmackDown are going to want that, going to want the, you know what? I agree. I agree that I agree that I want that type of deal too. If you're saying I'm wrestling 4 or 5 times less for, like a lower tier guy, like a Kira Tozawa or something like that, I'm sure that there's not much of a difference between, flipping over NXT and being on Raw right now as far as pay wise. So if I was someone like a Kira Tozawa or something I'm like, man, put me over NXT. I will take NXT, please. So yeah, it was. I think I give major kudos for that. So I don't know exactly what they're doing with this thing. I think it would be an NXT championship match, but I'm like, as a fan and as a journalist, keep takeover. Keep that feel to it. Takeover is typically one of the best shows in WWE right now. All right, got a few more minutes left. Where's your trivia? You're supposed to be asking trivia, guys. I'm going to post some trivia questions for the rest of the PNP Nation to guess. Elvis is asking who should face Becky next for the belt. Asuka. It seems like they're doing Asuka. I love Asuka. I don't know how I feel about her in this heel role. I'm not a big fan of it, but it just seems like I don't want Asuka to be a throwaway feud, and it seems like they're making Asuka a throwaway feud. I'm not a fan of that, but it just seems like that's what they're going to do. Royal Rumble, Becky and Asuka, unfortunately. Lexi, Kofi recently announced that he signed an additional 5-year term in WWE. However, Big E and Xavier have not. Given the rumblings, widespread unhappiness about WWE, what do you think? Big E and Xavier leave WWE, then what? I don't see. I think that I think WWE is their spot. They've got a super dope podcast right now. They're chewing Hall of Famers as the New Day. If you stick the New Day, that's why when people say break up the New Day, I think that's ridiculous. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Why would you want to break up the New Day? And none of them alone would go into the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. So you don't do that. You keep them together as a faction. You keep create. That's what the writers are for, to continue to freshen them up. that's what you do. And so you have them in the Hall of Fame as a duo. As a trio. So that's what you do. And Big E and Xavier, I think that they're lifers with the WWE. I don't see them going anywhere else and getting the type of success that they have gotten the WWE. So, yeah, I think it's kind of reading. I think it's nothing. I think it's a matter of just reading in between something that doesn't exist. All right. What are your trivia questions for Royal Rumble? Do I see any yet? I'm a big fan of New Day. Always has been. Oh, okay, here we go. Cole is asking, who was a 2002 Royal Rumble winner and who was the last person he eliminated? Good question, Cole. What y'all got? Who was the 2002? We might do the if I like what I'm seeing this, we might do this for the rest of the year. Just have trivia questions come up from the PNP Nation. So I dig it. Who was the 2002 Royal Rumble winner, and who was the last person he eliminated? Mo just said that on Backstage, New Day signed together for equal pay. All right, there you go. Sweet. What you got? What I do if Steph wins the Women's Royal Rumble? I would laugh. I would laugh. Let's see. Wilf. No. There's a YouTube following too, so there's more than that watching right now. Telling me to scroll up. Royal Rumble is going to be 10 from Raw, 10 from SmackDown, 10 from NXT. That's going to backfire. Yeah, I agree. Because you got to bring those surprise elements in. I mean, that just makes it's terrible. It's terrible, absolutely terrible. You got to have that surprise. That you got to have that element of surprise in the Royal Rumble. That's one of the biggest. That's one of the dopest part of the Royal Rumble right now. I mean, just for years, you have that element of surprise, and you have this, the surprise, the old school, the legends, and all that. It makes it fun. It makes it fun. It's like, why am I excited about a countdown if I know every single person in the Royal Rumble? Like, I don't care about the order. If I know that Adam Cole is going to be in the Royal Rumble, except for being a surprise. As okay, well, Adam Cole's going to come out one of these entrants. So it's like you got to keep that element of surprise with the Royal Rumble. So what do we got? What we got for the Royal Rumble collapsed? What is that? 2002 Royal Rumble, and who was the last person he eliminated? What is the answer for that? Okay. You guys got some good ones now. Okay, they're coming in. Elvis, here you go. Triple H won, and Curt was the last one eliminated. Nice. Who held? Michael's asking who held the record for most Rumble eliminations before Kane. All right, you guys are doing some good ones here. Luke, come on now. No, Adam Cole and Shayna Baszler should not win the Royal Rumble. Lexi, hinting Luke Harper joining AEW. What type of storyline would you have? Be good for him, heel or face? He'll probably he'll probably join like the Dark Order or something crazy like that, or the Butcher, the Bunny, the Blade, or something crazy like that. If it was up to me, I would have done Villain Enterprises with him teaming with Brody King. Brody Lee, he'll be Brody Lee again, so it'll be Brody Lee and Brody King. But Skrull's in NWA now. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, as far as AEW, probably nothing major, really, honestly. I can't imagine him joining the Inner Circle. I don't know how they would bring him in there. I don't know. I agree. I do agree with this, Luke. Breaking up the new, it doesn't make any sense. Keep them together. I agree with that 100%. Kane versus Brock at Mania main event. Your thoughts? No. No way. Absolutely no way. All right. So who we got? Taker is what Mo is saying. Taker have the most Rumble eliminations. Is that correct, Michael? Is that correct? Most Royal Rumble eliminations before Kane. Let's see. Most Royal Rumble eliminations. Taker sounds about right, but for some reason I'm thinking Triple H or Shawn Michaels, maybe. Oh, in one match. Oh, okay. Okay. So in one match. Got it. So perhaps Taker. Is it Taker, Mike? Or Austin? Maybe it's Austin. Maybe it's Austin. All right, so we'll ask a couple more. I like this a lot, actually. This is pretty cool. Who hold the record for the most eliminations right now? You talking about in one match, or just most period? Because I think you still have Kane there at the total eliminations. But as far as one match, I think Braun just recently got that. I think Reigns ended up beating Kane, and I think Braun ended up beating Reigns, if I'm not mistaken. Who was the first one to win 2 Royal Rumble matches? If I'm not mistaken, that would be Hogan, wouldn't it? Didn't Hogan win 89 and 90? Because at that time it still wasn't the going into the whoever wins gets the title because he was champ. So if I'm not mistaken, it was 89 and 90 because Duggan won 88, or maybe 90 and 91 because Duggan won 98. Was it Stud that won 89? And then Hogan won 90, and that they had the face-off with Warrior, and that led to Toronto, WrestleMania 6. And then 91 was Hogan 2, I believe. Because I think it was, yeah. I think 91 was Hogan 2. Because I think Hogan Slaughter was 91, and then Hogan Sid was 92, and then Hogan Yoko was 93, and then he was gone, if I'm not mistaken. Thanks, Luke, man. Appreciate you coming through, my friend. Who should Brock defend the WWE Championship against at the Royal Rumble? Good question. They should do like a battle royal, and let's see who's the top baby face on Raw right now. There's not many. Yikes! I would do like a battle royal. Man, they have a deficit of top baby faces on Raw that would make sense to go against Brock. They had Ray, but I don't see that happening again. You got Kevin Owens, but he's going to be with Rollins. And then you have like a second tier ones like Ricochet, Humberto Carrillo. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. And then you don't have any baby faces. Who in the world would go against Brock? Because their baby faces are terrible on Raw right now. Wow, that's crazy. I can't really think of anybody that's a really solid baby face that would probably go against Brock right now. Mania. You know what, man? It wouldn't surprise me if they did a Ricochet type thing. It really wouldn't surprise me if they did a Ricochet. No, Warrior did not win 1990. Warrior did not win a Royal Rumble at all, actually. Hogan won the 1990 Royal Rumble. And 90 and 91, if I'm not mistaken. 90 and 91. 90 was Hogan and 91 was Hogan. Yep. 90 and 91. Yeah, Randy, Ray, and KO. Rusev, no, he'll be him and Lashley. I don't see Rusev and Lesnar. Do you do Orton Lesnar again? I wouldn't be too opposed to that, right? I don't know. I wouldn't be too opposed to that. Yeah, I wouldn't be too opposed to it. What year did Vince win the Royal Rumble, guys? What year did Vince win the Royal Rumble? That's a good point, Daniel. Honestly, doubt Brock even wrestles at Rumble. Won't defend it until Mania or Leicester pay-per-view. Yep. What was the other? So we're doing Royal Rumble trivia now. So we have 99. There you go. Lee too. 99. Good work. All right. One more. This has been cool. I really like this trivia. Let's see. More trivia. One more trivia question. And I saw a few of them up here. We're doing Royal Rumble. There you go. Elvis, what year did The Taker win the Royal Rumble? Here you go. Hacksaw, but the first Rumble was 98. Yep. How many WWE? So what year did The Taker win the Royal Rumble, for one? And then two, how many WWE stars wrestled in the Rumble and also had a single match the same night? That's going to be a lot of thinking. I know that. How many stars wrestled? Oh, that's you got to dig for that. I don't know, 17. They did it a lot in the beginning, in the beginning stages. But as far as 30 years of the Royal Rumble, I don't know, Mike. Do you have that answer, Michael? Who beat The Undertaker at Royal Rumble 93? Royal Rumble 93. That had to be. Oh, goodness. Was that Yoko? No, Yoko. Was that the casket match? No, because casket match was 94, because that was SummerSlam, Taker versus Taker. It had to be 93. Taker didn't compete in 93, did he? Royal Rumble 93? No, let me see. Find out. I don't think he competed in 93. No, he was at the Rumble, and I think that was the whole Giant Gonzalez thing, because I think it led to another match at SummerSlam 93. I think they had like a casket match at SummerSlam 93, because he beat him at Mania, and then I think Giant Gonzalez eliminated him at so he beat him at a Rumble, and that's when the feud escalated. Taker beat him at Mania, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they had another match in 93 SummerSlam. I think it was like a casket match or something, wasn't it? Rest in peace match. That's what it was, a rest in peace match. There you go. All right, cool stuff. 94 Taker versus Yoko. Yep. Okay, cool. We'll make this the flavor of the week. Flavor of the week is early predictions of Royal Rumble winner. There we go. Perfect. We got 5 minutes left. Early predictions for the Royal Rumble winner. And you just created the flavor of the week. 6:30 start. All right, Mike, thanks, man. Appreciate you coming through as always. All right, this is the flavor of the week, guys. Here we go. Early predictions for the men's and women's Royal Rumble winner picks. Very good question, and so good of a question that is the flavor of the week. The men's Royal Rumble winner is going to be, so right now you have two heels as champs, and they're probably, both of them will probably be champs all the way to Mania. So you have Brock Lesnar and you have The Fiend. I don't think you have, they're, it's crazy because the more that I think about it, their babyface selection is bad. They really don't have strong baby faces right now. So it would seem like Drew would be an obvious pick. I think but the thing is, does he go against, he doesn't, I don't like heel versus heel. Neither do I want to make Bray a face at all. I don't want to make The Fiend a face. I don't want to make Lesnar a face. Definitely not. Because the faces are so deficient, he needs to put somebody over. That's to make them look good as a face. So, man, because My default answer is Bobby Lashley, so he can go against Brock Lesnar, because I want to see Lashley Lesnar at Mania. That's my default answer. But as far as just the baby face, I mean, it would have to be a baby face, right? Since you have two heels, we'll just probably keep it until Mania. So it has to be a baby face, but there's not a strong baby face. I mean, do you give it to Reigns? I mean, and y'all know that Reigns is my favorite in WWE, but I would not give it to Reigns. I don't think you do that. But that's what you have right now, though. That's the crazy thing. I think you might give it to Reigns and have him feud against The Fiend. Oh man, I don't want to see that. I think you just dump a year of building him into a baby face. Finally, where you want him, you just throw it out the door. And then that's what you do. So you probably have Reigns win it and go against The Fiend. Unfortunately, that's going to be bad. I unfortunately witnessed a bunch of boos again from the WWE universe. Unfortunately, it sucks. So yeah, probably Reigns for men's. And for women's, you'll have Becky probably keep it. And for the female, you have Bayley, which I'm not quite certain that you have Bayley keep it to Mania. However, what you could do is you could have Sasha win the Royal Rumble, and then you can have Bayley thinking that Sasha's going to choose Charlotte. I mean, or Becky Lynch is going to choose Becky Lynch, and you have Bayley say, "Well, no, I'm choose you." Pull a Batista Evolution thing and turn babyface with the Evolution. Because Sasha's a heel. I mean, people have been wanting her to be a heel for so long, but Sasha's is it's just bland to me. Heel Bayley's worse, but heel Sasha right now, it's just nothing. So at least there'll be some intrigue in that. Ideally, what you do is you have Ronda Rousey come back. I mean, look, believe it or not, like it or not, Ronda Rousey is what made that women's division earlier this year, late last year. If it wasn't for Rousey, there wouldn't be no women's main event in their Mania, period. So what you do is, since Rousey's the draw, you have her win the Royal Rumble, you have her come back win the Royal Rumble, and you do a 101 Becky versus Ronda. You don't main event it though. You do Becky versus Ronda at Mania. That will draw. That will get some money for the women's division. That would bring it to another level. So I would have Ronda Rousey win the Rumble and go against Becky Lynch. If Ronda Rousey's not an option, you know, like I said, Sasha, and do Sasha Bailey at Mania. So there you go. People are saying Adam Cole is going to win the Royal Rumble. First of all, he's champ. He's the NXT champ. Why? Like, see, you know what? God bless y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. But I'm gonna say something that you probably won't like, and I really don't care, to be honest with you. Listen, people saying stuff like Adam Cole winning the Royal Rumble is ridiculous to me. This is the reason why you have decreases in ratings because there's such a niche market right now, and you're making it more niche by having an NXT guy that no one would know outside. I mean, listen, Adam Cole's Bay is doing his thing in NXT, and he's doing a fantastic job. But you have to think star power. You have to think marquee. You have to think money when it comes to WrestleMania. You have to think transcending wrestling. Adam Cole does not transcend pro wrestling right now. He's not a household name. So by people saying Adam Cole win the Royal Rumble, it sounds very markish to me. It really does. It's like there's no benefit in someone like an Adam Cole winning the Royal Rumble and headlining WrestleMania. No benefit to it. So who's he going to go against? He's already NXT champ. And so if he wins the Royal Rumble as NXT champ, he's going to go against the WWE champion or the Universal champion and have two belts. What do you like? What's the end game here? And that's the reason why a lot of this knee-jerk booking doesn't work, because there's no end game, and there would be zero end game. It would make zero sense if Adam Cole won the Royal Rumble. Definitely not. Yeah, I agree, Mo. He's the face of NXT, not main roster for sure. McIntyre for men's, Baszler for women. She'll drop it to Ripley. I can see her dropping it to Ripley. Yeah. The only thing with Drew is that there's no. Again, I don't see him going against the he's not going to turn face, is he? I like Drew. Drew's awesome. I've had him on my show and I've talked to him a bunch of times. He's super cool dude. But I don't see a face turn from Drew. And then who else is going to turn heel? I mean, who else is going to turn face? So you got to think about those things. So right now, who are the champs, and will they go to WrestleMania? And who's going to win? You know, who's a marquee match? You're thinking WrestleMania here. You're thinking posters. You're thinking marquee. You're thinking television. You're thinking outside of WWE. Who's going to be that person who's going to be on the poster, on the marquee that says, yes, this person is a star, and this person is going to go against the champ. So that's what you got to think about when you think of Royal Rumble winners. Right now, the babyface selection period is just awful. It's awful. Yeah, exactly, Mo. Now I know why Vince and Triple H is stressed right now. 100% agree. I agree, Brandon. Too soon for Cole anybody from NXT. I definitely agree with that. Again, yes, Daniel. I agree with that as well. Yep. Good assessment there. All right. I say I would like that, Michael. Taker wins the Rumble, beats Brock, and he retires on Raw. That'd be dope. But I think he might as well just retire at Survivor Series next year. He might as well. I mean, it'd be his 30th year. They might as well do that. All right, real quick. I did say I was going to talk about Jericho real quick. What are your thoughts on Jericho? I got to roll though because I'm running overtime right now. Gotta go. We're out of time. But real quick, I did want to talk about Jericho real quick. Major kudos to Chris Jericho for saying, so for those who don't know, he called a meeting at AEW meeting. Granted, he's not even a tag team guy, but he called a meeting to talk to the tag team and saying, you guys are going to have to stop not tagging to come in the ring. And so, I mean, AEW is notorious for that, especially people like the Lucha Brothers and stuff like that. It's like they just don't tag. And just the mind of Chris Jericho to say that, to really pay it forward and have so much investment mentally in the company for them to succeed, to do something like that. He's not even a tag team guy. Major kudos to Chris Jericho for doing that. You can just tell he just has such an amazing mind for the business. So, we'll talk about AEW. Until next week, we got to go. We're out of time. We'll talk about AEW for next week. A deadlock in the rating in the viewership ratings. Actually, isn't that crazy? An absolute deadlock. They both had the same amount of viewers last week. So very interesting. Very, very interesting stuff. All right, guys. I think that's it for now. Awesome stuff. Appreciate you all. Have a good night. Just Google it, Mo. That's just Google like Chris Jericho tag team stuff. It's been written. Yeah, there's all types of no's on it. So yep. And as far as the ratings, yeah, the Showbuzz Daily is the one who does the ratings. So you can look at that. You can look at the Showbuzz Daily's info on their webpage. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, for 403 episodes, big thanks, guys. As always, you guys are awesome. Let me plug myself, man. I do a terrible job at that. So one, please sort of like, share, and subscribe. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube, so I'm doing Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. I'm gonna be honest with you. I miss my old setup. I miss the, I missed the countdown intro and the cool transitions with my former setup. But it works better this way to do it simultaneously with Facebook and YouTube. So maybe one day I'll bring back my old setup that I miss, because I missed the intro music and the outro music and all that good stuff, and I can't do that with this because it's not compatible with. I love the software, but it's not compatible to my setup. So maybe I'll bring it back. I don't know, before New Year's over or something. I'm not quite sure. But I enjoy the live video interviews. So it's kind of like this software has this benefit and this software has this benefit that this doesn't have, that don't have. So it's really interesting stuff. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe, guys. And listen, there's somebody, Cole's got a t-shirt coming next month for those who give to the top tier. It's like $6 a month. It's like a fast food meal a month just to support the show. After 3 months, you get a Pancakes and Powerslams show t-shirt for you to enjoy. So be sure to go there on Patreon and just give. I mean, it's like a $1 tier and a $6 tier, guys. Come on. I mean, for as many people who listen to there's thousands of people who listen to the show, every week. And for those who are listening audio, and for those who are listening, watching and listening video, $1 a month, $6 a month. Come on. Look, if as many people give on Patreon as I know listen to the show, I can do this full time. How about that? Isn't that crazy? I can do this full time. So, and that would be perfect for me because I'm about to be a doctor. I'm a PhD student, and to do this full time, That'd be great. You'll have all types of breaking news interview. You'll have all types of breaking news videos and interviews in my studio live and all types of fun stuff. So just go to the Patreon/Pancakes Powerslams. I know you guys enjoy the show. You guys are awesome every week. So show me some love and give. All right. For 403 episodes, big thanks to Nick Patrick. Thank you so much. Marissa from Canada, showing some love from Canada. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless, and always remember, I'll do it for you. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.